You are now experiencing the digital life with Kevin Lockett.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Digital Life. You know, with Father's Day around the corner, what better way to honor the day for dads than to talk to Joddy Eric Matthews, director of the new movie, #50Fathers, which combines social media, football, and fatherhood in a cool indie flick. I had a great time talking to Joddy, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So without further ado, here's my conversation with director Joddy Eric Matthews. Okay, we're talking to Joddy Eric Matthews. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself, man?
I'm fine. You know, our mutual friend Maurice put this interview together, and he mentioned your name to me. I was like, I know this name. And I realized I interviewed you 2 years ago at the Cleveland Urban Film Festival.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, you and Tamar Medina and LaShawn Thomas had a panel discussion. So I was like, oh, okay, that's where I know you from. So it's good that you're still making films, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I remembered you from the thing. I mean, Cleveland is my home, man. So, you know, I try as best as possible to be able to produce content here in the hometown when I can. You know, but I continue to do commercials and projects. Actually, I just finished a project with Rashawn a couple weeks ago for Adult Swim. So, but Cleveland is definitely always going to be my home. So I'm going to continue to do content here as much as possible.
Right. So let me ask you this: from the time that I interviewed you back in 2013, what have you learned as a director or as a creative within these past 2 years?
Well, I think the biggest learning point for me has been, you know, I'm kind of new to the independent film game. I primarily work as a commercial director, and then, you know, in forays with broadcast television like Adult Swim and Black Dynamite and stuff like that. So I'm really new to the independent film thing. I've done 3 projects in the last 6 years. And you learn a little bit with every project. In this particular case, we were doing a feature film, #50Fathers, and the struggle with budget, learning how to manage budget, learning how to work with actors who are, you know, in some cases new to doing films at a certain level. That has been something that has been really educational for me. And something that, you know, I'm blessed to be a part of, but, you know, you try to figure out a way you try to figure out a way not to have to go through that again for your next project. Let's put it that way.
Right. So how did the concept of #50Fathers come about?
Well, we did a short web series last year called Seeing Tomorrow, which was, you know, long story short, it was a science fiction thing that dealt with some themes of freedom and inequality and gender and racial issues and stuff like that. And then we were approached by an investor who was looking to he just wanted to do something that was an African-American drama. And he kind of pressed me. We were out at dinner, and he kind of pressed me for a story that I might have. And I just kind of created #50Fathers there at the table, you know, because you know what they say, you don't turn down money. So if somebody's offering you money to do something, you give them an answer. So really, it got born at that table. Myself and Joseph Primes, who's the other executive producer on the project, we just kind of hashed it out right in front of the investor, and he liked the idea, and we set forth the writing script and doing our pre-production.
Right. So the film ended up being a comedy, but like you mentioned before, you originally were thinking drama. So what made the move away from drama into a comedy?
Well, it's still a drama. It's still a drama. So yeah, so it's a dramatic film. It just, you know, in order to make it palatable to the largest, you know, swath of people, we decided to put those comedy elements into it. Now, you know, I've been asked, you know, how close is this to, like, what side does this swing on? Is this kind of like a Tyler Perry thing? I think it's a little closer to like, I don't know how many guys are familiar with Spike Lee's He Got Game, but it's very similar in tone to that type of film.
So let's get into the concept of the movie. So for people who haven't seen 50 Fathers yet, what's the concept of the movie?
Well, basically the concept of the film is you have a young man who's a LeBron-type figure. He's all football, he's all baseball. He's in high school, All-American, everyone's number one recruit. And, you know, as it goes with those guys, he's got a very big decision to make in his senior year. What college does he attend? And in Dominique's case, if he goes on to play Major League Baseball, okay? So with all those things going on and all those decisions that he has to make, he comes upon the ideal that he wants to find a father for he and his brother. Now his parents died 7 years before in a car crash, and his aunt takes care of them, and he just wants to find a father. And then he kind of ensues on a wacky ideal to interview 50 guys in the oncoming weeks, and to promise to pay the winner or the person he chooses $10,000 a month to be their daddy. You know, he doesn't think it through, as the case is with most 18-year-olds. They don't think through the consequences or the ramifications of their actions. So that kind of moves the movie along as you see those things unfold.
Right. So there's a social media element to the movie because the character Dominique uses YouTube to make this pitch for the fathers. How did that come about, incorporating social media within the movie?
Well, in writing the film, I tried to look at, you know, what an 18-year-old, put myself in the place of an 18-year-old, and what an 18-year-old would do as far as trying to get the word out. And most 18-year-olds these days, they're all about social media. That's their main vehicle of communication, you know, whether it be Twitter or YouTube or what have you. So I just kind of envisioned he and his team, which he's dubbed Team Neat, setting forth to get the word out and use social media to advertise their intention to get a father.
Right. And social media plays a big part in the promotion of your film. I've seen different things you guys done with Instagram and Twitter, but it's also interesting that with Maurice Martin, who's the musical director, you originally contacted Maurice to handle your social media, but then you realized that you could use his skills as an artist in doing your film's music.
You know, I had done a couple music videos for Maurice when he was as he's a member of Winslow. And one of the things I always had in my mind that I wanted to be able to leverage his amazing talent as a singer. It just so happened that we needed, at that point, we kind of needed someone who was very social media savvy to kind of come in and help us with that aspect of our marketing. And Maurice just happened to kind of be around. He said, I can do that. And, you know, I was very familiar with what he had done with Winslow as far as getting their name out and their brand and things like that. So it was a good fit. But we had always planned on leveraging his talent as an artist as far as his music, which I personally love.
Right. And how would you describe the overall feel in the music in your film? Because you use a cross-section of people. You have people from Ohio, you have people in Cali, like an artist from the UK. So what's the overall feel of the music of the film?
One of the people I admire in film is Martin Scorsese, and I like the tapestry that he uses for music to set up certain things in his films. So what I wanted to do was use that approach here. So we use music to kind of put you in where we need you to be as far as your thoughts and your feelings about a certain thing. So whether it's dubstep or rap or jazz, or we even go some good old school gospel, it's all about setting up that tapestry and painting a picture. You know, so I'm very fortunate that we have the artists we do. I love all of their music, and I think it really, really fits the film well.
One of the things I liked is that you put together a novel and a graphic novel to coincide with the movie.
Yeah, so what we did is, we have a novel which kind of goes a little bit more into, the depth of the story and gets a little bit more into, Dominique's life and some of the things that he goes on. And then, as I have an animation background and I started out in graphic design, we hit upon doing a graphic novel, which really kind of gets more into that superstar, high high light bulb kind of thing where you see the flash and the glitz of what he's going on with, but also kind of gets more into maybe the sports aspect and the action aspect of some of the stuff that's going on. So
right. And the talent that you have in the movie, is it all local talent, or did you look around different parts of the country to cast it?
Well, we looked around all around the country. The primarily, and that's because Cleveland does have a lot of really good actors and a lot of really great talent. A lot of times, though, they're on their way to L.A. Let's put it that way. When you catch up to them, so one of the things we wanted to do was leverage some of the people that we knew were here who were already at that level, like Jonathan Jackson and Kyle Carthens, who Kyle, as his latest film, and actually Jonathan's in the film too, is like Lifetimes with This Ring, where both of them had substantial parts. Kyle, I believe, was the young man who married not the star of the film, but one of the leading ladies of the film at the end of the film. He's the groom. And Jonathan actually was in Draft Day. Joseph Primes was in Underdogs. So we've got some really talented people in the film, and they've got some good creds as far as, Hollywood movies and things like that. We did start out with some people in Hollywood, but then our schedule got thrown back. And unfortunately, their schedules clashed, so they couldn't be a part of it. But I'm happy with what we have, and I think the performances stand out. I think everybody in it, people will be really, really proud of some of the people, and specifically people like Kyle and Jonathan, who I believe are stars in the making. There's some of those people that you're going to see them in a couple of years, and they're going to go, oh, hey, I remember that guy in #55ers.
Some directors want their actors to read exactly what's on the page, and then some directors give some actors some room to kind of ad-lib some things. What type of director are you? Are you kind of like, we have a great script, just follow what we've written because I really believe in the copy? Or do you feel like if you have something, bring it, and we might be able to incorporate it into the film?
Wow, man, that's oh, you're gonna nail me on that one. Okay. Well, I think it all go. I think if you have a good working relationship with talent and where they're interested in understanding where the story needs to go, then I think you let them go and you kind of work with them. You don't so much stay shackled by the page. I mean, I never let the page kind of tell us what direction we need to go. I want the actors' input. I want their feedback, and I really want them to buy into the process and contribute to it. That being said, they have to be mature enough in their acting where they can contribute. Okay, so it varies. I mean, some actors, you give them a lot of room, and in particular, like for instance, Kyle. Kyle is an amazing improv artist, and I think you'll see that in the film. He improv, I believe. Maybe 30% of his lines are improv. Now, the good thing about it is that he's brilliant in his technique, and he comes up with really good stuff. But that comes from the fact that he's a seasoned actor, and he kind of knows when he can do those things. And then sometimes he got to stick to the page. We got business to do, and we got to take care of that. And one little note I will say on this. That's one of the things I needed to learn as far as independent films, because when you're doing bigger budget projects, or you're doing projects that are tied to a network or something like that, you don't have all day to do it, but you have some time. Independent film, you're always on the clock. So where you'd like to be able to let an actor explore and take time and work his craft, sometimes you can't because you're on the clock and you got to get that stuff shot and make your day. So,
right. How many days did it take you to shoot the film?
We were scheduled for 20 days, and I think we ended up doing about 28 to 29.
And what type of cameras did you use to shoot it?
Well, we primarily I own 2 Red Epics, so we shot on Red Epic. We actually did some really great slow motion stuff. There's slow motion stuff that if you've seen the viral videos, I believe we used this Sony, I think it was the NS7 for that, and we shot something like some crazy 600 frames a second kind of stuff. So that was really, really cool. I think we had a B camera, Blackmagic Cinema camera is a B camera, the 4K. So the whole film is done in 4K. But we shot some B camera stuff with a Blackmagic camera.
And on the business side, one of the things that I liked is that you didn't use Kickstarter, Indiegogo when it comes to people contributing to the film. Like, you have it straight to PayPal, where people, if they, I think it goes from like maybe $10 if you want to be mentioned on the credits to I forgot how much it was for being an executive producer. So it's kind of good that you kind of cut out the middleman. It's like, listen, we can do this ourselves, and you just set it up as is. And you just click on it, and and you connect it that way.
Well, and to be honest with you, that was we had tried a little bit of the crowdfunding with Seeing Tomorrow, and then I'm blessed to have two really good friends in Joke and Biagio Messina out in LA who we do some reality show stuff with, and they are like masters of crowdfunding. And the first thing they told me is hey, if you're not prepared to treat it like a job, like, spend a certain amount of hours every day, doing your crowdfunding, you're going to fail. Well, unfortunately, they told me that information after we did the crowdfunding for Seeing Tomorrow, so it didn't kind of work out the way we wanted. And I learned a valuable lesson. And this time, we would have liked to have done that, and there was many times when we thought about doing crowdfunding, but we weren't in a position to make the movie and do crowdfunding at the same time. So we just didn't do it, and we tried to use whatever efforts we were going to use for the crowdfunding to just go straight to our page and get contributions that way. So I don't know if I would do it again that way. I think it all comes back to how much work you're willing to put into that for it to pay off.
And the film can be streamed and downloaded on RealHouse.org, which I've never heard before. But when I took a look at it, it's a really cool place for people to upload the movies.
Yeah. Real House is actually really. I met those guys about 3 years ago. They were doing some stuff with Sundance Channel, and if you go to their site, man, you really see how much they really buy into helping out independent filmmakers. Last year we had used Vimeo Pro, which is still a great service. But you basically have your film, and people go there and they can download and watch it. Whereas on Real House, man, you get a total experience. You go on there, there's things you can buy. You can sample some music. We can put all our featurettes up. So it's actually like buying the Blu-ray, which is really cool. I would encourage everybody. It's realhouse.org /Triangle Park /50 Fathers. So if you just put in 50 Fathers, it'll find it. But it's on there. And what we're going to do, Kevin, is we're going to set up a code for your show, and if they use that code, they'll get a discount on watching the film on Real House.
Oh, good deal. So do you have any plans taking the film to different film festivals across the country? Because I know you're opening in cities like Atlanta and Chicago and Cleveland and Columbus, but are you taking it around the country?
Well, we're going to do a couple select screenings, and that's primarily before we take it to the distributor. And then once we give it to the distributor, we'll work out a festival / distribution model for the film. It being an independent film, theatrical is something that we're doing on our own, but once we give it to the distributor, that probably won't happen. So venues like Netflix and Amazon open up at that point. Whether or not we go to other cities, I think it'll have a large part to do on how successful we are in Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, and then out towards Atlanta and Washington D.C. and Detroit. And if we do really well and perform really well in those venues, then we'll just keep going.
And tell me about the Fatherhood Project. It looks really cool, so I just wanted to ask you about that.
Well, those are once again a bunch of guys that I had met previously before, and trying to work in that aspect. Actually, with another film that we were trying to do, and then once we started on this project, I kind of, I got them involved in this. It really is more about storytelling. It's more about storytelling. It's about a lot about oral history, and then history being handed down from father to son, and then the involvement of telling those stories, and then also men speaking about their relationship with their fathers, which is something that we need to do. Men don't really don't have too much of a problem talking about their relationship with their mom and their love for their mother, but when it gets time to talk about your father, things become conflicted sometimes, and we got to break that cycle. You should be able to talk about your father and how you feel about him and how things were with him as easily as you do with your mother.
Right. And finally, from a filmmaking question, what have you learned as a commercial director that's helped you as an independent film director?
Okay, that's a good question. To get the money up front. No, yeah, I would say, man, they're different beasts. They're whole totally different beasts. There's things that I would bring to working on commercials that when I turn around and then I try to look at them as far as working on an independent film, you think they would match up, but they don't. Everything from time to money to scheduling is totally different. Independent film is more about getting it done, okay? Whereas commercials are more about, they're more about making the person who hired you happy. Let's put it that way, I mean, you do a good job in the commercials, but they already know what type of job you do, and that's why you got hired. You see what I'm saying? Whereas in independent film, even if you have a producer, and in this case, we had an investor, you're always in that confidence building mode of we can do this, and you have a lot of explanation you have to do. Why are we doing this? Well, why is this happening? Well, why? So you spend a lot of time being being a producer yourself and actually sitting down and actually making people aware of what the process is. Whereas when you work on commercials, you're there to do your part, and then that's it. Independent film is really more about, it's your baby, and you gotta, you're responsible and you gotta take care of it.
Well, Joddy Eric Matthews, thank you for the conversation. If people want to learn more about #50Fathers, where can they go?
RealHouse.org, /Triangle Park, /50Fathers. And like I said, we're gonna get you a code, Kevin, that you can get out to your listeners. If they use that code, then they'll get a percentage off on the screening, the video on demand rental of the film. And if you need information, the best place to go, 50fathers.com. We'll have all that information up, the dates, the theaters, all of that stuff will be available for you.
And are you working on anything else? I know you're focusing on this film right now, but is there anything coming up as far as film?
I'm really excited about this summer. We're going to start on a documentary, and actually this is going to be Maurice and I. We're going to put together a documentary about the old-time R&B bands, like the Gap Band, Daz Band, Roger Troutman, Zapp. We're going to put together a documentary on what happened to them, what happened to R&B, old R&B soul bands. And right now, I think the working title is You Ain't Got to Go Home, but You Got to Get the Hell Out of Here. So, back for the whole 2 o'clock, when they turn the lights on at the club and they tell you, well, you can't stay here, but you got to go someplace else. So really excited about that, man. I got a lot of good music people we got lined up for the interviews. We're actually pitching that to VH1, so that's hopefully that'll be something they turn the corner on and decide to be involved in. Really excited to working with Maurice and actually Mike Calhoun, who's part of the Daz Band. He's going to participate in that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man, in the summer.
Hey, sounds good. All right, thanks a lot.
All right, man. Thank you.
I want to thank Joddy Eric Matthews for being a great guest on The Digital Life. Make sure you check out his film #50Fathers at RealHouse.org. That's RealHouse.org. And if you use the code Digital Life, that's the code Digital Life, You will get a percentage off your video on demand stream of the movie. Before I go, I have a Twitter question for you. Tweet me at Kevin Lockett and tell me about your dad, stepdad, or father figure that's had an impact on your life. Use the hashtag FatherKL. That's the hashtag FatherKL. And tell me about your dad, stepdad, or father figure who has impacted your life. All right, everybody. It's the Digital Life. I'm Kevin Lockett. Happy Father's Day. And that means you too, Charlie Lockett. And I'm out.
The Digital Life with Kevin Lockett.